What's up, guys? Today is the second episode of the Beginner's Guide where I start a completely fresh file with one of the beginners and I over-explain and try to help you get your first win. So if you're picking Jotunn today, you're in good luck because we're going to be over-explaining Jotunn as much as I can. If there's anything I missed, just leave a comment down below. I have over 400 hours in the game, so it's easily for me to overlook something that a newcomer still might not know. So just giving a small disclaimer out there. Alrighty, so we start off and we are picking a Jotunn. So Jotunn is usually my recommended hero monster for you to start off this game because it is the quintessential tank of Aethermancer. Its signature ability, a Rhyme Wind. Whenever damage is dealt to this monster's shield, deals a combined water and wind to the attacker. So all this is saying is, if you played Pokemon and you liked Pharaoh Seed or Pharaoh Thorn or anyone with a Rocky Helmet item, you're going to enjoy Jotunn's playstyle. Because what you're going to do is, you're going to use Roar, which shields you, which is mitigating damage. It puts shields above your HP. So this is 2 times for 3. So you're getting 6 shield. So whenever they attack you, they're going to take 6 points of damage. But it gets reduced. So if someone hits you for 6, then only one person will get hit and that's it. But if you make a fat shield, you can hit multiple enemies. And you can see how this gets pretty nuts real quick. Roar also has the property of redirect. I'll go more about that when we get a teammate, because right now we're solo. Ice Smash is a 3 attack that does 3 damage, and it's pretty cool because it's the water and wind elements. The first number is how many times this action will go off, and the second number is the potency of it. We are water and wind element. We only have 1 attack, which is fine because it has both elements in it. We are the tank type, so that's going to be perfect with Roar. We're shielding, that's great with our passive, and we're aging. Now, you most likely won't be tapping into aging. Most Jotunn runs don't, at least on their first run, because aging... The second time you get a monster that has aging tag, so you have good synergy, is all the way in Biome 2. So for beginners, you have to get to Biome 2 to even see that. And shield upkeep 2 means every started round, you will get 2 shields for free. So let's go into the first fight and see how this goes. Now I did this yesterday with Cherufe, so I'm gonna have to remember to take it slow because I'm just going through this. So if you look at the top of the screen, notice how we have 0 on everything, but the enemy's Tasselworm has a 0 with red? That red is a fire element. So since we have no elements, we need these balls, right? To use our actions. They're called Aether. So since we have none, we're resorting to our basic attack. And since Jotunn is water and wind, we're going to generate a water and wind Aether. Notice how it took 2 damage there? Because we naturally generate 2 shields every time it's our turn. Also, when it's the start of your turn, you do build up Aether randomly. So you see how our HP is 43 plus 2 blue? The blue is indicating our shields. I guess the game wants us to attack. Alright. So since we are hitting water elemental weakness, which the Tasselworm is, we're able to break his poise, and now you could deal 50% more damage. But since this is a tutorial, they want us to capture it. So we'll do just that. And as you can see, it's earth and fire, so it literally covers the other 2 elements that we don't have access to right now. So we're just going to kill this off. Now the game gives you worthiness. Basically, almost anything you do in the game will give you this resource. and you want as much worthiness. Usually level 3 is the stopping point, but as of this patch that I'm making this video, level 4 and 5 also have a benefit. So at minimum, you always want to get your monsters to level 5 so they have the maximum bonus, because worthiness gives you a permanent buff on that save file. So no matter which run you're doing, like we could lose right now and start the run again, you would still have your worthiness bonus if we were level 2. And every time you do a battle, you see these segments, you always get a 1 XP. Whether I fought 1 enemy, 2 enemies, or 3 enemies, it's always 1 XP, at least for this biome. Yeah, I think that's about it. I'm trying my hardest to remember all the basics because I'm like, oh, I already said all of this in Shurufe, so no one needs to hear this, but it's a different video. Every time you defeat an enemy, they always drop loot. So this one dropped a blank memento, so what we use to capture the tassel worm. And shrines, you use the shrines to summon creatures, so you have a full party. And you only get to pick, obviously, what you captured. So we're going to take tassel worm. So, since Jotunn is water and wind, our natural ally they gave us is Tasselworm, which covers the earth and fire, like I said. So it has a unique ability, is on crits, it applies poison, and for every stack of poison, you get even more critical hit chance. So you can see how this kind of snowballs and gets out of control. Just getting 1 crit will put a stack on them, and then that'll increase your chance to critically hit more, getting more stacks, and yeah. Our action here, Toxic Slash, for just 1 earth mana, we do 2 hits for 4 damage, so 8 damage, and it puts 2 poison on them, which helps activate our poison, or our signature trait, sorry, without getting lucky. And then we could start snowballing from there, maybe. We have Fire Claws, which is 4 hits for 2 damage. This is really strong for Poise Break. Any enemy weak to fire, you just deleted 4 of their poise. And since this increases our crit chance if there's a poison, and with 4 hits, you know, there's a higher chance for us to activate and get even more poison scaling. That's how you usually want to do it. You want to get poison on the enemy, and then Fire Claws it away to rack up more crits to get more Poise Break. Also, you could look over under our HP, we are critical. So every time we attack, as you see under our perks, we have a 25% crit chance. Jotunn doesn't have that, so Jotunn cannot critically hit unless it has some crit chance. We have regeneration, which we probably won't be going into. If we see it, I'll explain. And then obviously you have poison, and we'll explain how poison damage works in this game in the next fight. So if you are in vicinity of the enemy, you get to pick which one you're going to jump, and they lose poise, so it's easier for you to stagger them and then do more damage. I guess for the sake of consistency, I'm just going to take Orthrus. It's always a safe pick if you're completely new to the game and watching this. You can't go wrong with picking up Orthrus. It's just a really solid monster. Instead of making the Cockatrice, which is attacking our Jotunn... Oh yeah, that's another thing. You could tell where the enemy's attacking. If you look on the sword, on the top... Or sorry, on the left-hand side, there's a little knob on the very top. That means it's going to Jotunn. If it was on the bottom, it would have went to my Tatzelworm. The game does indicate who's getting attacked at the start, but you know... Sometimes we're not always looking at the screen. Sometimes we blink and miss it, so... That's why that indicator's there. So since my Jotunn was getting hit, I didn't care. He's the tank. He wants to get hit. So now, it's using an action, not a basic attack. So now I'm going to use my Aether on Fire Claws to not only break its poise, but do some really good damage. And we're going to kill this Orthrus. So that's your goal. If you're going to break an enemy, you want to make sure you're breaking them when they're doing their most powerful actions, which has icons. If it's just doing a basic attack, it's usually okay to let that go. That's the weakest action they could do. Since we're playing with Jotunn, this is a tip you should definitely be taking advantage of. We already have lethal, right? I could do Toxic Slash or Fire Claws to win the fight. But the reason I did Roar is because it generates shield, and that gives us some worthiness at the end of the fight, which will help us get to level 2 a lot quicker. So don't finish a fight if you don't have to right away. Always make sure you try to sneak in some worthiness if you can. And now we're going to go finish the fight. Um... Hmm. I wonder if they changed that. There used to be one for damage mitigated, I think. Alright, so when you level up, you get to pick a trait. Oh, well, that's a no-brainer. I don't know if that's on by default, but if you press triangle button, at least on PlayStation controller, you could pull up a tooltip so you could have a better idea since all these keywords are new to you. But retaliate is basically whenever you take damage, it activates this effect. And remember at the start when I told you about how we had to do a basic attack to get Aether when we were recruiting the Tasselworm? This is whenever we get hit damaged, we just generate a random Aether. This is one of the strongest traits you could have on your tank monsters, so I'm going to take this, but we'll just explain the other two in case you don't get these options. Let me know down in the comments below, did you get the same traits on your level 2 like I have here? So this one's an aura. Aura means all monsters on your party are affected. So if I take this on Jotunn, my Tasselworm would also get benefits from this even though it does not have the trait because it's an aura. So it says on wind action from any allies, shield that ally for 4. Tasselworm does not have any wind actions because wind is indicated by the green color. And as you can see, we have fire and earth. So it's not really going to get that much benefits from it. And this one, another aura. If allies have 7 or more shields, they gain 1 damage and 15 crit chance. Now that's good, but since we're at the early game and we have no AoE shield skills that shield multiple allies, this isn't that good. Like I said, return to Aether. If you see this at your level 2 when you're playing a tank, you just take this. This is easy, no-brainer. It's going to make the rest of your run so much easier. So, but that was a good spot to explain what auras are. So this one is on a support action, you cleanse and get 1 temporary power. That's the base effect of the drum. And the dots under that effect, those are perks. Those are randomly generated, but mostly catered towards the types you have. Kind of like how we're tank, shield, aging. Tanks want HP, because in Aethermancer, you can't shield your full HP. Like, I can't eventually get 46 shields. I could only get 23. The game gives you half your shields. So by increasing your maximum HP, you're also increasing how much damage you could mitigate. And Roar counts as a support action, so we would trigger the beneficial effect towards the drum, while under Toxic Slash and Fire Claws, you can see they're labeled attacks, so they won't even trigger this. So it's just really good on Jotunn. It's not the best item you could have on Jotunn, but for the situation we're in, it's just Jotunn takes that one. It gets the perk bonus with the HP, and it gets the effect activated. Whenever you come across these pink things, just press whatever buttons on the screen to prompt, and they'll take you to the higher elevation. You want elevation advantage in this game, and I believe there's a tutorial that'll explain that one, so I'll let the game do that one for you. Or I'll just explain it when we get there, so not confuse you. So the game has NPCs. NPCs are good. They give you stuff. That's not the initial effect of the witch. That's just the tutorial witch. We'll come across what she actually does. So Mandragoras like to be in the ground, and they're going to attack you like a jump scare. So you want to press your parry button, so you start off with increase poise damage to them. So we're already getting hit by the Wolpensinger. It's going to go hit our Jotunn, so I don't really need to roar. So instead, I could break that. I did say if you could stagger an enemy doing an action, you should. But since our Jotunn's tanking, I don't really care too much. One thing you'll understand as you play the game more is Mandy is the healer of like the game. Mandy has healing actions. So if you could kill the healer, especially when they're broken, like I would say do that instead of breaking, especially if your tank's getting hit. Like if Tasselworm was getting hit in this position, then I may have roared. But since Tasselworm's in no danger and my tank's already taking the hit, I may as well kill the healer on the enemy team so I don't have to worry about it, you know? See? Easy. And since we got hit, we got returned to Aether, which gave us a free water action right there. So Wolpentinger's interesting. It likes to steal the last action that you do. That's why it's literally doing our skill that we just did. So I'm going to use Fire Claw, see how much crits we get. Unfortunately, we only got one, and since it's going on the bottom, the knob is on the bottom, that means my Tasselworm's getting hit here. We're going to roar to take that away from Tasselworm so it doesn't lose HP, and I'll just tank it for us. Since we mitigated all that damage, it just goes right back to it. So, since this fight's over, we're going to roar. And then we're just going to kill this by doing the most damage so we get more worthiness. Alright, Tasselworm, what you get? Ooh. Well, I guess regeneration came up. Regenerating water. On water action from any ally, applies regeneration to the ally with the lowest amount. So as you can see, we don't have any water actions. Jotunn does, but that's his Ice Smash. And Jotunn, 9 out of 10 times, will be using Roar to keep my allies safe, so I won't be using this. We did capture a Orthrus, which we'll go over in soon, that does have a water action. But even then, Orthrus doesn't want to use his water action because he'd rather use the Fire Fang, so this is a no. Whenever poison triggers on an enemy, applies poison to all enemy. This is great. So, if you get one poison on the enemy, you basically can keep poison for the rest of the run, or that fight, on all the enemies. So this one's good. Now, Sleighted Hands, every 3 hits, crits. So we're hitting 2 times, so it doesn't affect our Toxic Slash. But since our Fire Claws is hitting 4 times, that means the first and second hit is RNG if it critically hits, but the third hit of Fire Claws is guaranteed to critically hit if I take Sleighted Hands. And it also means our AoE, if we take AoE actions, the second hit of the AoE is always a critical hit. I'm thinking in my head of how this run's gonna play out. And I don't think we're taking that. I think I'm gonna take Sleighted Hands. It may not get as much value right now, but maybe in the mid and late game it will be good. You do have the option to re-roll, but on your fresh file run like I have, they don't give you any re-rolls. You have to get them from meta progressions, and then obviously just playing the round and see if you get one or not. So yeah, I think I'm going to take Sleight of Hands, because we're going to be the only one that'll be able to poison, so yeah. Got a Monster Soul, so we could summon our Orthrus. Alright, so here we have rooms. So the one with the sword, that'll give you equipment. We don't have... Actually, no, we do have an equipment. We have the drum. So that's like... that's what the sword room will give you. One of those equipments. And you could put on your Tasselworm or maybe your Orthrus if you went that route like me. But I would not recommend that. Now this symbol... I don't even know how to describe it, like a V with a fire in it. This one will give you a artifact. These are good, But if you ever see this icon right here, like a pillar, it's called Aether Spring. I highly recommend you take the Aether Spring because this will give you a buff for your entire run until you win or lose. So I'd rather have a permanent buff for the rest of the run. That increases your chances of winning a lot more than any of those two options. The artifact is good. Every time you beat a boss, it refreshes its use, so it does have longer longevity than the equipment that you might replace because you may not even get something that you like. Alright, so now we have 3 party members. The fights are going to get a lot harder now because the game's expecting you to utilize all 3. So, just to go over our new teammate that we picked up, it has 2 head. So, if it's this monster's first attack this turn, it heals our ally that has the lowest HP for 5. And if it's the second attack this turn, it gets power. Power is a permanent damage buff for that fight by 1. So our Aqua Pounce right now, it hits 3 times for 2 damage, right? So that's only 6. But if we get this power, now it's going to be 3 hits for 3 damage. So we went from 6 damage to 9 damage. Your goal is to try to activate 2 head as many times as you can each round. You could only activate once, right? So your goal is to always try to get 2 attacks off. Now I'd be wondering, how do you do that? Because you've only been attacking once each turn. That's where Fire Fang comes into play. Fire Fang is a 2-hit for 5 damage, so that's 10. Really good. And it applies Sidekick. Sidekick triggers by whenever an ally deals damage, you will follow up. And you'll see in combat. Our perk is Sidekick Damage Plus. So normally Sidekick is a 1 hit for 4 damage, but since we're on Orthrus with the Sidekick damage bonus, it'll be 1 hit for 5 damage. And you'll see that in combat as soon as we get into a fight. But first, since we entered the Aether Room, I remember this was a mistake I made a little while ago. You want to find that Aether Spring and activate it right away. So that way the buff's going on now, like these fights, and then future ones. Because I think I did 1 or 2 fights and then I activated it, and I obviously missed the value for those 2 fights. So, gold boon, after every fight you get 2 extra gold. That's nice. But since I have no equipment, I'd rather have a higher chance of getting a rarer equipment when loot's dropped. There's rarity in this game if you ever played looters. There's common, rare, and epic. Nothing too big and crazy, but just wanted you to know. So, like I said, whenever you see this pink thing, you want to get on it because it gives you height advantage. So, as you can see, we're doing 3 poise damage because that's 4 and they're going to go to 1. Whereas if we were on the ground, they would only take 2. So, you always want to get the height advantage so you break as much poise as possible. I'm trying to think, what am I even hitting here? Wow, this one's a rough one, huh? I think I'll take out the Tatzelworm. Or if the Tatzelworm's doing a basic, I just have Orthrus signature. Oh, perfect. So yeah, the game's going over artifacts. You can only use 1 per turn. Craft mementos, basically, you know, you capturing the monster. Over here is the Monster Flask. This heals you for 15 HP, but you only have 3 charges, so they don't refresh every fight. So be mindful of this. They do refresh, and I'll go over when, but they don't refresh right now, so don't waste them. Alright, so we have the Ooze, which is attacking the Sensor. That's our Tasselworm now. And the Orthrus is also attacking the Sensor. But the enemy Tasselworm is attacking our tank, which is Jotunn. So when you do redirect, and if the enemy is not attacking Jotunn, so that means the Ooze and the Orthrus, the game at the moment doesn't have an attack order. So I don't know who's going first, second, and third. All I know is we're only getting hit by Tatzelworm. And I want to get hit by many people as possible. Because we're the tank of the group. It's our job to be soaking the damage. So, you're going to roar. And we're just going to pray that it is the Ooze. Or, we'll see if we could take initiative into our own hands. Oh. That was the wind. Alright, we're gonna see if we get lucky here and get 1 crits. No luck. If we got lucky there, the enemy would have left with 1 earth poise, and poison damage deals earth element, so we would have actually broken the ooze right there. And since we didn't have enough Aether to use Fire Fang, I'm just going to attack now and build up some Aethers so I can Fire Fang next turn. So ooze does AoE damage every start of the turn for it, depending on how much poison stacks it has. So we kind of helped it out by doing Toxic Slash, but this turn, I don't even have to attack it because it's going to break. So, this is how you get 2 attacks on Orthrus every time. So we're going to Fire Fang on the Tatzelworm. That's 1 hit. And now I'm going to attack with my Tatzelworm. And it's going to have Orthrus follow up. And that's how you get the power. Easy peasy. So I'm already getting hit by the enemy Orthrus. So I'm just going to do this Ice Smash to get some poise damage on it. And since it's attacking me... Actually, we lost our shields right there. That sucked. It would have been cool if it went off, but unfortunately it didn't. So like I said, poison damage does earth element. That's why I wasn't even worried about the ooze, because the ooze was just going to break on its own. So now we're doing Fire Fang again. We have a bunch of Aether to play around with, so I'm going to do Fire Fang on the Orthrus. And there you go. Tatzelworm and Orthrus is going to be our damage dealers, while Jotunn tries to hold down the line and see if we could get the win. That's the general game plan. Remember, always get the height advantage if you can. So, Cockatrice used to be scary, but it got nerfed. It can still be a little annoying because it has Reflect now. Reflect needs Earth Element, and both Wolpensingers are Earth Elements. Oh, no, they're not. But the Wolpensingers are more annoying because they could learn your actions and use them against you, and we lose that Aether. On top of that, we have Tatzelworm to take care of the Cockatrice if it does decide to do an action, because we have Fire Claw. And since it has 4 poise and Fire Claw hits 4 times, I don't need to lower its poise. So I'm going to attack one of the Tatzelworms and see if we get lucky and get 2 Fire Aether at the start so I could Fire Fang. I did not. Okay. Lovely. And a Cockatrice is doing Ignite. Alright, we have everyone attacking everywhere. Let's see what I could do here. I don't want to break the one on top, even though it looks ideal, because it's already attacking my Jotunn. I want to attack this one and see if I get lucky with 1 crit. Because then I wouldn't have to worry about it, and the other hit from the Cockatrice would have been guaranteed Roar. Unfortunate that this came out this way, but we're just going to Roar, try to mitigate as much damage. And I'm just going to basic attack so I could Fire Fang next turn. So this team composition can seem a little boring right now, but when you want to win on your first run, you know, you got to play it a little safe. And that's exactly why Wolpensinger is annoying. It could set up Bubble Trick, which is sidekick version of our Fire Fang, and be really, really annoying. Right here, the enemy Cockatrice is using the Reflect I was talking about. I don't think I went over that, so let's go over that actually. So how do I know that's Reflect? Besides obviously having a bunch of hours in the game, if you press the square button or inspect on the bottom right, you could bring up the enemy's UI, or your, that's, what did they call this? It's just the UI to have better information. And you could go over to Cockatrice, and you could see it's doing Reflective Strike. That's what the thumbnail looks like. And these are bubble tricks. So, and then you can read up what they do and stuff like that. So that's why I knew it was doing Reflect, and I needed to stop that right now. Alright, so we already have one coming, 2 hits going out, and Jotunn could actually block both of them. Actually, Jotunn only needs to block one, because if you remember, the enemy has 1 poison and has 1 earth, poise left, so it's actually going to break. So we don't have to actually worry about that. We have a bunch of water Aether, so I could kill, and I think I'm just going to basic attack, get this into poison kill range. Because remember, when you're broken, you take 50% damage. So that 2 poison was only supposed to do 2 damage. But since it's broken, it takes an extra 50%, which is 1, which was perfect lethal. Alright, here we go. So, we're going to Fire Fang here. We could basic attack, get Jotunn some damage so he gets some more worthiness. And then finish the fight off with the poison, or I was gonna say poison slash, but it's toxic slash. So right now we don't have anything too exciting. Once we get to level 3 and 4, that's where we'll get a new action. So what do we want to learn? Oh yeah, that's another thing that they did with redirect. So redirect not only can take an attack for your allies, it also gives you +1 defense. Every point of defense you have in this game reduces damage by 1. So, remember how I said like Aqua Pounce is 3 hits for 2, so you're taking 6? It would reduce this by 1 that it would take, so it's actually just 3 by 1. That's a big damage reduction, saving Jotunn a lot of shield. So I might take this. This one heals an ally and shields them. That's also really good. And it's a free action. Oh, free actions, yeah. That's why free actions are good. So normally right now, all our skills don't have free action on them, right? They're just actions. So when I use one of these actions, that basically ends that monster's turn until the next round. Free actions, on the other hand, you could use a free action and an action. And it seems after round 2, we have a decent amount of Aether thanks to Jotunn taking a bunch of hits and getting free Aether back thanks to Return to Aether. So actually, I think I'm going to take Flash Guard, so increase the chances that Jotunn is almost always getting hit, so we just have a bunch of Aether to play with, so I could do more actions with my other allies. Snow Charm is a good option to take too. But if I could get more redirects, especially after this buff, and the fact that I have Return to Aether, it's just better synergy in my opinion. Alright, we got level 2. Unfortunately, these are not the best for Orthrus. Magnus Hit is probably the best, because once we get that power flowing, we're going to get an extra hit with this. And this extra hit is fire and water elements, so it could help us break poise. Joint protection. Whenever an ally triggers Sidekick, you shield both of them for 3. So this is usually going to be our Tasselworm triggering it, so we could sort of mitigate some damage, but 3 is not really doing much. And in this one, as long as I have Sidekick, my other allies deal +2 damage. So whenever we set up Fire Fang, that means before Sidekick's triggered, whoever attacks next just deals +2 damage. It's okay, but if it ends up how it did with our last run with Cherufe, Orthrus is probably going to carry again, and Magnesit is one of the better abilities. It's just, we probably would have liked to seen this at level 4 or 6, not level 2, but what are we going to do, right? We can take what we get. Okay. Is this the same exact spot? You could open up your map. I don't know what button it is, but for PlayStation controllers, it's the share button. And any of these symbols on the map, you could just fast teleport to them. So this is the frog thing. I forgot what the official name is. Okay, equivalent exchange. You could give up some of your gold to get Aether Crystals. Aether Crystals are the meta progression of this game. Let me take a drink real quick. Yeah, so Aether Crystals are the meta progression for this game. If you've never played a roguelike, basically Aether Crystals will allow you to purchase permanent buffs for the rest of your save file. So it's really nice to have. But the trick with this event is if you give up some of your Aether Crystals, you get more gold. And the gold is just per run. So every time you start a run, you start with 0 gold. So these aren't permanent. So it could seem like, oh, why would I want that? I'd rather save up Aether Crystals so I could buy permanent buffs. But if you get more gold, then you have a higher chance to go further in the run, which overall nets you more Aether Crystals than just exchanging for some small handout right here. That's the trick with this event. Obviously, if you know you best, right? So if you think you need a few more runs to fully learn the game and stuff, then go ahead, take the Aether Crystals. But if you consider yourself maybe a quick learner, or you actually are watching this full guide before you play, and after watching it you feel a little more confident you might be able to get that first win, then definitely exchange for some gold. Right here we have 2 enemies weak to wind, and if I get them set up in one range, Jotunn with his shield and roar can just pop them, because remember, the reflect damage it does is water and wind elements, so that's really nice to get that for free. Unfortunately, we have no wind elements. Yikes. And I'm not going to be generating any either, huh? Alright, well, typical fish. Let's see if we get one critical hit here. Oh, we finally did! Okay, so you'll see why that's perfect, because now it prevents that from happening. And I'm just getting its HP low as possible so we can just straight up kill it. So you see right there? That's why you want to get one crit on a Wolpensinger with Toxic Slash, because the poison will then trigger and then just pop it, so you don't even have to worry about it. Alright, now I could Fire Fang this down. So we have an attack going at the top and Fire Fang going at the bottom. That's a-okay, because I'm just going to Flash Guard. So we get +1 defense. I could pop them here, actually. I could do that, but I'm going to do Roar. So now we're mitigating damage we're taking, and now I'm going to set up some poison on this one because it's going to break. As you see right there, Magnus popping, doing extra damage. And yeah, just like that, that Orthrus is basically dead. If it wasn't for the other Orthrus attacking and healing for 5, that other Orthrus that got popped would have died right then and there. To the poison tick on its turn, and I didn't even need to deal with it. Now I could do Ice Smash and just kill this thing, which I plan on doing. But remember, if you can prevent lethal but get some chip damage from your other allies, it gives you more worthiness, and that's what I plan on doing. So yeah, right now we have really bad turn 1 generation for Aether. It doesn't even seem I could do Fire Fangs. I can't even roar sometimes, so we're in a tough one. Alright. Regrowth. Interesting. I think this got reworked. Applies regeneration to self, applies temporary power to self, and cleanse 3 debuff from self. Oh no, I'm thinking of a different action. I was thinking of one that permanently increases your HP every time you use it. So, ignore that. Jewel Cutter, this is an amazing action. It gives me access to a wind action, because as you can see, our elements earth and fire, but some actions share 2 elements, and since I'm part earth, I could use Jewel Cutter. And remember, Jewel Cutter, every 3 hits, the 3rd hit's guaranteed crit. That's where Sleight of Hand comes in. And this attack, if you critically hit, it does more damage. So normally we were supposed to do 50%, right? But if we're only hitting for 2, 50% of 2 is 1, right? So that means that guaranteed crit was just going to do 3. But now you tack on the 4, so it's going to do 6, and then the 50%, so now we're doing 9. We go from 3 to 9. Very good. Energizing Strike, this one's nice. But if we need fire damage, I have Fire Claws. But we're mostly going to be using Fire Fang. And we don't really have a good Earth or Wind action. Like, Jotunn's decent, but he's tanking. And I only have Poison Slash, which is a 2-hit. You're going to notice playing this game, you rather have skills that have a higher number to the left rather than the right. You rather break the enemy's poison, which not only cancels their action for that turn, giving you breathing room, but it also allows you to do 50% more damage, rather than having a really nice chunky number on the right side, but it only has 1 poise. That's usually not the way to go. So Jewel Cutter is my recommendation if it pops up for you. And we get lucky, we get a rare banner. So by default, the banner's effect, it increases all allies' critical chance and evasion by 7%. I know it's a small number, but hey, remember, Jotunn and Orthrus cannot critically hit right now. So getting this item is good because now it makes them get a chance to critically hit. So that's good. It also has the perk of 5 HP, and at the start of combat, you get 1 sidekick to yourself. That's pretty good. And I think I'm going to give that to Orthrus just because it comes with 1 sidekick. Because remember, Orthrus wants to attack as much as it possibly can. And I'm going to go over here. I don't know how much resources we picked up. See if I could get some golds. Okay, so this was the same with Cherufe. We just don't have enough Aether Crystals to contribute, so we skip that. Alright, so the question mark, it's a question mark. It could be literally any of the NPCs. That's all it can be. It can't be another Aether Spring room. So don't be tricked. It can only be NPCs. If you see the scale, this is the merchant. I don't recommend you ever go to the merchant. The reason why is because when you defeat the boss of this biome, you're guaranteed a merchant afterwards. So why spend your gold on a merchant before the boss when you're just going to get one after? Now, one would say, oh, it increased my odds of winning. That is true, but I only have 9 gold right now. The merchant usually costs anywhere from like 5 to 10 minimum, I think. So you're not going to really be able to buy much. So you rather just hoard your gold. After the boss, that's when I dumped my gold and get better stuff. So we're going to go to the Envoy, which if you remember, it gives us an artifact, which is like the Monster Flask, which has a certain amount of usage for the run. And when you beat a boss, it refreshes all of its usage until you beat the next boss. So that's why this one was the second best when we had the chance to go to the Aether room. So let's see what we get. I'm just fast forwarding this because I don't need to read it, but you know, since if it's your first time, you know, go ahead and enjoy the lore and stuff. All right, so we have Aethermancer Whip. This does damage, and it steals an enemy's Aether. So this isn't that good on this run because we don't have any purging unlike our Cherufe run. Stealing the enemy's Aether is still nice because let's say they were trying to do Fire Fang, right? And it needs 2 fire to use it. You could, if you steal that fire action, then they can't use the Fire Fang and they have to then use a basic attack until they have the Aether to do it. So that's why Aethermancer Whip is good. Now, I think Heroic Horn is better, especially because we have Tazawam in the party, because we have 2 actions that are hitting 4 times for 2 damage. The Heroic Horn will give us a permanent power for that fight, kind of like Orthrus. Orthrus has a way of getting power. We don't. But we benefit a lot from power because now these, instead of doing 8 damage, because it's 4 hits for 2 damage, if we bring this up to 3, we're now doing 12 damage. And remember, the more our base damage is, the harder this crit's going to be, because it increases our crit damage. So for example, if we bring this to 3 damage, and then we critically hit, which is always the 3rd hit. Remember, this also gives you plus 3 crit damage, by the way. I forgot to mention that. So, this is by default 4 hits for 2, but if we get the Heroic Horn for 1 power, that's 3 damage, right? And then we're guaranteed to crit on the 3rd hit. So that's plus 4 and 3 here, so that's 7. And we're saying if we have 1 power, that'll make us our base to 3. So that makes us at 10. And then a critically hit does 50% more damage. So we went from 8 damage to 15 damage. That is a big deal. And this is just factoring in the guaranteed crit. That's not factoring the 1st, 2nd, and 4th hit. They could also critically hit. So that's a lot of damage you're missing on the table. And for that reason, I'm going to take the Heroic Horn. We have some corruption, but I believe there's a tutorial that should be popping up soon. They'll bring that up, and then we'll talk about corruption then. Alright, I guess I could just talk about it right now if it doesn't pop up. Okay. So you see how our Jotunn has 43 out of 52? That's because it has 9 corruption. So whenever you start a fight and you have corruption on you, you don't start at max HP. For example, our Orthrus has 0, right? Notice how our Orthrus starts out at 41 out of 41, but our other 2 allies, Tazworm and Jotunn, don't. That's because they have corruption, and if you just do the math by minusing the 9 and 7 on their HP from their HP total, they have that number starting out, 7 and 9. So you get corruption by getting attacked by unmitigated damage from shield. Since Jotunn normally gets 2 shield every turn, and he's the tank, and he shields himself, it's okay for Jotunn to have corruption. Now, if your other allies have corruption, that's not, like, ideal, because that means you didn't get to redirect all the attacks, and unless you get Flash Guard, you're not going to be able to redirect all attacks, because as you can see right here, Jotunn's on the top, but the Wormling, which is the red thing that's flying, it's attacking the bottom knob, which is our Orthrus. The middle Orthrus, it's attacking our Tazworm. And the Mandy is attacking the Sensor, which is also our Tazworm. Meaning, our Jotunn is not tanking anything right now. So we definitely need to redirect to get the aggro off of them. Now that makes sense? So that's why it's like, don't sweat it. You're most likely not going to have the actions to prevent this type of damage going out. So we're going to do Flash Guard first, since I don't have anything to do Fire Fang. And then I'm going to use Roar. This gives us 2 redirects, so only one of our allies is going to get hit, because the game doesn't have an attack order or an attack cycle. I don't know who's getting hit. Now, we do have a banner. We do have a banner. And what I'm trying to get at is the banner can critically hit, and we might be able to pop that Wormling. So, actually, we're going to attack here, the Mandy, because we have the sidekick activating from the banner for free that we gave to our Orthrus, which will pop this one, which is doing an action, and it's much better that we pop the Mandy instead of the Wormling that's not even doing an action. And now I'm going to basic attack to build up some Aether. And as you see, we did actually get the crit, so that would have worked out if we went with that route. Oh, it's telling you right here. But yeah, it's basically what I just told you. So yeah, if you're wondering why am I not starting at full HP, it's because you got corrupted. Which is totally fine. It happens to everyone in their run. Alright, so we did our Fire Fang 2. Get the sidekick, and here's Jewel Cutter, which will just delete this. See, right there, 15 damage, like I told you we were supposed to do. Beautiful. Unfortunately, we had a lot of wasted damage there, so it is what it is. So right here, I know that Wormling's not doing any damage. I know what that thumbnail means. It's going to purge some of my Aether. Meaning it's a free turn for me to get in some damage. It's important that our Orthrus gets to Worthiness 2. Hence me using him to do most of the damage. And now we're just going to get some Aether here. Aether, sorry. Get some damage with our Tassel Worms, so these two get the most Worthiness. As you can see, Jotunn's mostly been tanking, but it's still leading the charge, and that's because of its signature trait. He has more Worthiness, although he was in one more battle than these two, so we'll see how it pans out. We got boots. Boots are nice. The base effect is it has 15% chance of evasion. It does stack with the banner, so you have 22% chance to dodge, and it comes with a rare effect that at the end of combat, if you have corruption, you cleanse by 2. Since our Tasselworm does have some corruption, and he has no equipment, I'll just put it on him for now. Now this is a corruption lake? What was it called again? Blessed Pond, there you go. So you could spend some gold, and if you have corruption, you could cleanse your corruption. I personally don't feel like I need that, but if you're a little stressed because you have corruption, by all means go ahead and use it. Sometimes you can find free loot on the floor. That's a antidote flask. That's an artifact. That's really lucky. Okay, so we start off with a free sidekick. So I'm actually going to put the cockatrice slow, because we're not always guaranteed 2 fire, and both of my monsters need 2 fire to activate their fire action. But since I get a free sidekick, I can break the cockatrice. Why was I able to break it before, but I can't now? So, as you can see, this is a really good effect. Not only is it healing us all by 10 HP, but it removes 3 debuffs from all of us too. But you only get 2 uses of it, so be mindful of when you plan on using that. Alright, so we're getting wind kicked by the Wolpensinger, and we're getting basic attack by the cockatrice. I don't really care what the Wormling's doing because it's not attacking me. So, I'm going to actually attack here. Oh, we build up Aether so I could get Fire Fang. No, I attacked to get the Water Aether so I could pop this. So I could have Aether for the following turn, yeah. Alright. So I just need to roar. I don't need to double redirect. It could give me more damage mitigation, but I want Aether next turn so I could kill some of the enemies. Remember, Jotunn's your tank. It's okay that he's taking damage. He'll be fine. He's a big boy, trust me. Jotun takes a beating. Alright, we'll just get rid of this Wormling now. Well, funny enough, both of the enemies, notice how their actions are in blue coloring? Or they have no left, like, peg sticking out. That means they're not attacking you, they're both doing a buff. So I don't really need to spend Aether here, but we're just going to because we can. Jewel Cutter. Let me just get that out of the picture. We're just going to build up some Aether for next round. And yeah, we go from there. So when you're burn, whenever you spend Aether, you'll be taking the burn damage. So since we have 2 burn, I'm going to take 2 burn damage right now. So be wary of burn. You can kill yourself on your turn when you're normally safe on your turn. That's the tricky part about burn. Especially if you have a free action, you could be taking 4 damage on your turn because of the damage effect. The only thing that burn doesn't do if you do take damage from it is get corrupted. So that's one bright side. So don't be scared of taking some damage because you're not going to get corruption. So interesting enough, our Orthrus learned a heal action. We learned... So this is good normally. But like I said, and in my vision of how we're going to win this run, I'm going to need Orthrus and Tazelworm to pump out the damage each turn. And I just don't have time for my Orthrus to be healing us. Hence why I'm not taking this. Petal Spell, on the other hand, is a decent one to pick. Because as you can see, it's water and earth elements. I have water element, I have fire, but I don't have earth. So I could give him another element of attack, and this attack gives me Sidekick, which is the same thing that we're doing with Fire Fang, just less damage, but it also cleanses 2 debuffs on it. So if an enemy is not weak to fire, and I still want to get some poise damage in, but still keep Sidekick, Petal Spell does that. Lava Surge is decent, 2 hits for 4 damage, hits all the enemies, and if you interrupt them, I get power. But it doesn't give a Sidekick. So I would have to get really lucky or plan that I'm interrupting the enemy. Interrupting the enemy is if they're using an action and you prevent them from using that action. Whether you purged their Aether, stole their Aether, broke their poise, or killed them. But yeah, I'm just going to go with the safe. Petal Spell gives us an extra element of Earth and gives me Sidekick. Alright, what's up here? Ooh, we got an Altar. Altar gives you a permanent buff for 2 fights. And after those 2... Well, not permanent. I guess I should say temporary buff for 2 fights. Yeah, that sounds better. Alright, so we finished the 2 fights. There's only 2 fights on this floor. What was this event? Oh yeah, the Corruption or Cleanse Pond, I think it was called. So, I'm going to give up some souls so I could get a temporary buff for the next 2 fights. And the next fight is a boss fight. So this popping up here is very good. Okay, so all allies gain aging and +1 damage for every 3 stacks. Aging by itself does nothing. That's why I said at the start when you picked Jotunn that you will most likely not be seeing aging in your run. Because it just doesn't do anything. So this is a blessing. It gives you +1 damage for every 3 stacks. You only get 1 aging per turn. So that means you have to wait 3 rounds just to get +1 damage. Whereas if we trigger Sidekick on Orthrus every turn, or every round, by the time we get to round 3 naturally, Orthrus is already at +3, or I guess +4, when this activates, while the other allies are going to be at +1. So it's just not that good of a payoff. Poison. Poison's nice. Poison lowers its stack every time the enemy does take damage from it. It does allow our Taskworm to have a higher crit chance at the start of the fight. But since our Aether generation is so low, it's usually round 2 and 3 is when my Taskworm can do actions. So that means we're only getting an 8% increased crit chance, because remember, for every stack of poison, we get 4 crit chance. So giving all our allies Sidekick is the better option, because we're going to want our Orthrus to be doing this anyway. Taskworm getting Sidekick is huge. It's just free damage. You're just playing the game and getting free damage on monsters that normally don't get Sidekick, aka Taskworm and Jotunn. So, yeah, we're taking this. Alright, so the boss room. This Saturn looking thing, that's a rare item. or rare loot, should I say. You could get an equipment, you could get a lot of gold, you could get free XP. I believe you could get an artifact. I don't know what else is in the pool, but yeah, the pool's just too big for that to be consistent. Like I said, after you see, this is the symbol, boss symbol. When you see these, the bullhorn, that's a boss fight next. So after the boss fight, we're getting one of these guaranteed. So there's no reason for you to go in there. So we're going to actually take the witch. The witch allows you to re-roll a trait, right? It re-rolls one of these traits or an action. So, return to Aether. This is what's keeping us afloat with our Aether issue right now. So we're not re-rolling that. That's good. Flash Guard. I'm not even sure really what Jotunn wants. I haven't used them in a while. Actually, I don't think I've used them since I came back to the game that much. Like, I picked them at the start, but that's it. But yeah, like, Flash Guard's fine. Redirect got buffed. It's giving him +1 defense. It's allowing him to soak more hits for the allies, so you could get more return to Aether. So I'm not re-rolling this. Sleight of Hands, I think there was one in mind that I'd rather have, but since we picked 2 actions with 4 hits, Sleight of Hands got more value now. And Orthrus, I like its traits. I rather would have had this at level 4 or 6, but we'll take it. And the Petal spell is okay. Yeah, the one other thing I was thinking of is better later at level 7 anyway, so... So all our monsters have good actions, but like our last video, it's funny. I'm giving you an advanced tip here. If you have, like... If I didn't tell you this advanced tip, I guess, or if you just looked at the actions and traits and you're like, oh yeah, I like everything I have, I don't need that. You would just go into this room most likely, right? But here's an advanced tip. When you defeat a boss, the boss gives you 1 more XP than you are normally getting. Since we're normally getting 1 XP for a fight right now, we're going to get 2 XP. So my Jotunn's going to go to level 4 for sure. But the big thing here is Tatzelworm will go to level 4 instead of just going to 3 out of 4. So I have a chance of learning a trait. And if I get one that I don't like, I could then use the witch to reroll the trait. When you go inside a room, you don't have to use their effect right away. You could defeat all the monsters in the room and then use their effect. So that's what we're going to do once again. Which is kind of funny because that's what I did with my True Rufate run right before this as well. Alright, we have a height advantage, so try to get up here. Interesting, it might be seeded to an extent. Because we did get the same layout. I remember standing up there for a bit until it came over and then I got the jump. You can get the height advantage jump. You just got to be a little patient and wait for it to walk over. Like right there. So as you can see, its element is neutral. Unlike the other enemies we fought up to this point, which was either fire, earth, water, or wind. It's neutral, meaning any element you use will break its poise. So let's get to it, shall we? If you're going to use an artifact, I suggest you use the damage beneficial ones right away, so you get the power coming into effect right there. So since we have this sidekick going on, we're just going to break its poise. If you break a boss's poise, they always get 2 actions. So you're only going to cancel the first action, but the second action is always going to go out. So I'm going to redirect that to me. You can break its poise right here. Nah, I'd rather just soak the damage. And it's going to pop itself because of my passive. And then I could activate the sidekick when it's broken, so we do 50% more damage. I also forgot I put poison on it, so the poison was going to proc it anyway. Alright. I want to use this, but I don't have the Aether. Well, we got a 4x4. Let's see if we get lucky. 1 crit, 2 crit, 3 crit. Oh my god. Beautiful. You see what I'm talking about? Getting that power on there. Woo, boy. That's some beauty. Now, I could just go for damage right here, but you may not get the same luck that I did, so just remember, play it safe. Just roar it up. Remember, if the enemy is broken, you can capture them. You should capture this. This is a boss or a champion considered. They go really hard in scaling. I had a run where he was just the only damage dealer and he carried the run very easily. So make sure you capture the monsters when you break their poise. Since this is just a tutorial on how to win with Jotunn at the start, I don't really care that I capture him because this is in my main save file. Alright, here we go. We could do Jewel Cutter now. And I have enough for Roar. Alright, first boss down. Beautiful. Alright, so on wind action from any ally, shields them for 4. We already saw this before. We did get a wind action, so it could activate on our Tassel Worm. We don't have one on Orthrus, so not that much value again. So our Jotunn, whenever our Jotunn attacks, whatever shield it has, it then deals an extra hit with this. So by default, it's getting +2 shields each turn. So since I don't have an action that gives me shields, like a free action, that means I would only be getting an extra hit of 1. Which isn't the worst thing. Because remember, every point of damage counts as poise damage with your element. When you factor in things like shield hit, it's just, I don't really see my Jotunn attacking that much for this to matter. And the value isn't going to be there, because it's only going to be a value of 1. We don't have AoE shields, so this really isn't getting much value. So if you got lucky and fortunate, and you got a reroll, I would suggest you reroll here. If you're in the same predicament. Okay, there we go. Something much better. So I said we weren't going to get aging much. Now this isn't like a big aging payoff, but every 2 turns or 2 rounds, we're going to get 1 Wild Aether. Wild Aether, unlike your normal fire, wind, earth, and water, you need those specific elements to do actions, right? Wild Aether counts as any of those. So if I need to do Fire Fang and I only have 1 Fire Orb, Wild Aether could substitute the other one I'm missing and I can use Fire Fang. So it's really good. This one, every 3 aging we get 1 power. Like I said, Jotunn's the tank of the team. He's not really going to be attacking that much. And this is slower because it's every 3 aging, while this one's every 2. And it doesn't really do much for us. Now, this one's pretty decent. Safeguard, at the end of your turn, if you have less than 8 shields, shields equal to the difference. Since we're only getting 2 shields, that means we're going to get at least +6 shields from this. So that's good value. And it cleanses 2 corruption at the end of every fight, keeping him lower so we could get through the run a little smoother. But I have a little more experience with the game, and I know that Aether is a bigger issue than my corruption. I'm comfortable playing with low corruption because I know I'll still get through the fight. Your HP is a resource unless it falls below 0. So I'm not too worried about Safeguard, so I'm going to take the Cosmic Wisdom. Because I guess if you think about it, if you don't have Aether to do actions, that means you're doing suboptimal turns doing basic attacks. And that's the lowest amount of damage you could do outside of not doing any damage that turn from that monster, right? So I'd rather take a little more corruption damage, but make sure that I could do my actions each turn. And throughout the course of a run, you'll notice that this Aether is going to save us more corruption damage we'll be taking than this will be cleansing. I'd love to have had, like, if I could make a save file right here and do 2 runs from this point to showcase that point just to bring it home. But you're just going to have to take my word 400 hours of experience. I've played on the hardest difficulty. I'm on an actual win streak right now. I don't know how many wins we have, like 60 something on the hardest mode. And I've used different monsters every single run unless I'm doing like a test to try to get some special run. So I'm pretty confident this Cosmic Wisdom is better. Alright, so we got this at the start of the run. Like I said, we were going to get a water action with Aqua Pounce. And Jotunn was going to have Ice Smash. I still don't think it's that good. This one now on Earth action from any ally, it applies poison to the enemy. So that's kind of cute. Because we have Toxic Slash and Jewel Cutter. But we picked a Petal spell, which is an Earth action. So we can get poison from our Orthrus. And that's it, because our Jotunn doesn't have one. But I'm going to take Critical Bleed. Bleed in this game, it does damage kind of like poison and it goes down. But poison only does earth poise damage, right? And it has synergy, obviously, with Tasselworm. But bleed does wild damage. So no matter what the enemy's poises, you will break that poise. And since we're trying to crit, we are guaranteed a crit on the third. You could then say that Fire Claws is actually hitting 5 times, or this one's hitting 5 times, because you know you'll get, if you're like using these for poise and not just the damage, you know the third hit's a guaranteed crit. So it's actually doing 5 poise instead of 4. So that's why I'm taking Critical Bleed. It has better synergy with our overall kit right now. So, ooh, picked up a Talisman. So Talisman's base effect, whenever a monster gets a buff, has a chance to get another one of that same buff. Since Orthrus is trying to get sidekicks and power, that's 2 buffs, meaning Talisman is really good on him. The first bonus of water generated basic attacks will generate an additional water Aether. That's cute and all, but we don't care about that. We actually mostly just care about the primary effect. The primary effect is so good on Orthrus. And the second bubble, which is a star, that's the rare trait we got. You can get that rare trait on anything, by the way. Like, see how this has Corruption Cleanse too? We could have gotten that on the Talisman. It doesn't have to be on that item. But yeah, it allows it to sometimes dodge, increasing its survivability if we can't redirect everything, or if the enemy uses AoE attacks. So we're going to take that Talisman and put it on our Orthrus. So recently they buffed the game where when you take an item off a monster, you could give it to another one. We want to still keep that banner rolling. It has plus 5 HP, it has a free sidekick at the start, and it gives my allies evasion chance to dodge. But most importantly, it gives my damage dealers crit chance so they could crit easier. So we're going to take that. And now we're left with the drum. So since we're always doing a support action, we're getting this temporary power. But like I said, Jotunn doesn't really care about the power. We are cleansing a debuff, which is nice for your tank. And it's getting plus 5 HP, which helps it overall max shields. But since the only thing that's giving us shields right now is our roar, that doesn't really mean much because we're never going to get to 6 shields. So that doesn't really matter. What does matter is trying to preserve those shields so we could tank a little better and reduce the amount of corruption. It does have Corruption Cleanse as well, kind of like that safeguard we were going to get, but it has a chance of us dodging, which does stack with the banner, so we're going to swap this out as well. So that's my logic there, and since we did not use the Witch, don't leave the room if you did this, by the way, and you got something you did want. You can go talk to the Witch and use her, and like I said, I like what we have. Unfortunate that my Orthrus didn't get an XP. I wanted to roll on this. You could just take a free XP, so that's what we'll do since I don't want to re-roll anything. Oh nice, Orthrus got it, so he'll get closer to level 4 after this. So, this is what I'm talking about. After you beat a boss, you always get this like check room area. Make sure you talk to the pots if no allies are dead. Like if you just won the fight, but you're just a little battered and bruised, talk to this pot. It will cleanse 15 corruption. Look at that. Our Jotunn's almost brand new. And any corruption Tasselworm and Orthrus have is just gone. And here's the guaranteed merchant. That's why you don't want to waste your gold before that, because you're just given one for free. Let's see. So, it's selling the shoes that we do have, but one rarity higher, which is only 5% evasion. And it comes with wind damage, which does affect our signature, because our signature is water and wind. So that means our signature will do one more damage, and if we ever get to attack, our Ice Smash will deal one more damage. So, it's decent. Belt's default effect, if you interrupt, you have a 50% chance to just get a power. That's really good. It's just, I don't see us doing that right now. At least not intentionally. It would mostly be coming from poise breaks. And it does have the poison damage +1, which does help out Tazelworm, but I'd rather have the banner. So if you're, this is your first time playing, and this is your real main account save file, you might want to pick up a blank memento if you've been capturing monsters along the way. I'm going to take deck of cards, which is funny because this was your last run too, and I'll go over more detail when we use it, how to get full value, because it looks kind of bad because you're giving up all your Aether to generate 7 random ones. But this could mostly just be generate 7 Aether for you. Alright, so remember the sword is the equipment. If you have an equipment on all your monsters, the option of just getting an equipment changes to exchange equipment. So if you have an equipment on someone and you don't really like it, kind of like these shoes, I think they could be something maybe better for Jotunn. I could then, if I give the option, I could exchange the shoes for a different item and has a higher chance to be blue or rare or epic. So that's something you could go do if you want. Or they give you the option, if you like what you have, you could upgrade. It's RNG which one you get. It's not like you pick one. But I'm just telling you what you would get if all monsters do have a equipment on right now. So if we do get the upgrade, I mean, I have 2 good candidates. The banner, but most likely I would take this talisman and bring it up a tier. But like I said, if you ever see this symbol, take it. Remember, this one's just random loot. There's a big pool. But yeah. Take the Aether Spring. Especially because, like I said, the Aether Spring gives you a permanent buff for that run. And unlike the other rooms, this one scales with biome. So since we're now in the 2nd biome, the effect actually changes when we pick it up this time. So instead of getting, what is it? We got like 35% chance when we get an equipment. It has the probability of being a higher rarity. This time it just gives us a free Aether. So every turn, we'll just generate 1 free Aether. We want to do Fire Fang every turn. We are already struggling to do that, so it's a no-brainer. I want 1 free Fire Aether every turn, you know? So definitely go and make sure you're picking your Aether Springs. I'm trying to get the jump advantage, the height advantage there, so we'll try to approach from a different spot. So like Mandagora in the first biome, the gargoyles are the Mandagoras in this biome. Oh, we still got that rolling. Nice. Okay, so everyone's getting hit once. Let's see what we could do. Since I don't need to actually Fire Fang here, since we do have the free sidekick, I think I'm going to actually Fire Claw and reduce the amount of damage that's going out. Let's see if we could pop this. No luck on the crit. Crit? Oh, nice. Alright, so we have 1 attack going out in the center. So I'm actually going to use my free action here to get the free redirect. And then I'm going to basic attack, which will have the sidekick of my Orthrus popping here. Since Orthrus already has power, Magnus will hit. And that's 2 poise break from water, breaking it right then and there. Alright, let's see. I'm gonna Fire Fang and kill off. Nosferatu is probably the scarier enemy to fight if you ran a similar team composition. So I always suggest kill Nosferatu. But I just peeped over. Gargoyle's actually doing an AoE attack. Notice how it has the pegs coming out in all 3 directions? That's AoE damage. We don't want to get AoE damage, so we're just gonna kill this. Okay, and since, you know, we only have the Nosferatu hitting once, it's gonna hit my Orthrus, but I'm just gonna redirect that to me. And now we're big chillin'. Oh, the shoes came in handy there. Notice how we dodged the first hit? So we didn't take more than 3 damage. I believe if you take 3 damage, that is when the game gives you 1 corruption. And from here, it's just, you know, just kill the enemy, you win type deal. Man, it's hot today. I gotta open up my second water. Make sure you guys are staying hydrated. Alright, we leveled up, and Ooh. So, leadership, it's okay. Unfortunately, we're just guzzling sidekicks more quicker than we're generating, so like I said, this probably is only going to be there for 1 attack from Tasselworm, and then this gets eaten up. This one does benefit our first attack, which heals. If it ever... So, instead of healing 5, it now heals 6. And if they're full HP, it cleanses 2 corruption from them. What's probably better for the course of a run is auto heal. Whenever I attack, it heals someone with the lowest HP 2 times for 3 healing. So that counts for our first attack and then the sidekick. So that's a lot of healing. Not something I really wanted though. For my damage dealers, I like to just stick to that 1 roll and just pump out as much damage as I can. What the hell? What's Tasselworm doing back there? This event right here gives us some more max HP. I'll come back to it when we're done with all the fights. Because I really don't need the max HP right now. I don't remember if it cleanses corruption or not, but I usually try to save all my events, unless it's an Aether Spring, before the run's over. Nosferatu, we have 2 of them in here, and a Domovoy. Domovoy is the healer of this biome. But, like I said, if you see Nosferatu, you want to take out Nosferatu. Nosferatu's scary. Alright, so we're probably going to hit this one, because this one's already hitting our Jotunn. So, yeah. Hopefully I get lucky with a crit. Nice, we got the bleed. Remember, bleed counts as wild damage. So, even though it's not popped right now, it's going to be popped. And I believe this hits for like 15 damage. So, I still need to mitigate this so I don't get too much corruption. Although, I could have basic attack to get a free hit. Unfortunately, yeah. It's just hitting. Yep, there it is. 15 damage. Called it. Alright, and yeah, the bleed from our Tasselworm allowed us to break that Nosferatu at the top. It looks like the Nosferatu is still attacking our Jotunn. I'm fine with that. We want to kill this one up here to reduce the amount of damage that's going out. I'm actually going to redirect here. And I'm going to Fire Fang. Actually, no. We're going to attack with my Jotunn here to get the sidekick from our Orthrus to trigger there. And now I'm going to Fire Fang with my Nosferatu here to break the poise. And since Domovoy is the only one attacking now, it's going to be hitting our Jotunn, which has redirect, which will eat that up nice and juicy, and he's chilling. So you got to really look at the poise and see how you could manipulate it to help you out. Looks like we're in a similar situation. Yeah. I'm gonna basic attack here with Jotunn, which will trigger my Orthrus' sidekick, which kills the Nosferatu, so I don't even have to worry about it. And since we have enough Aether, I could just Jewel Cutter. And we get that guaranteed crit on the 3rd. We got lucky on the 4th. We got some bleed and some poison there. So yeah, looking nice. I'm just going to basic attack here. Now I'm going to Fire Fang. Oh, that's going to kill. Okay, then I'll just basic attack here. As the fight's over, I'm just trying to get all my boys some worthiness so we can level up. And yeah, really nice usage of the sidekick there. Jotunn came in handy, and instead of soaking some hits and getting some corruption, we actually mitigated more corruption by just killing and breaking poise there. So yeah, remember when I said we took Jewel Cutter just for the 4 hits for the poise? It's paying off. Alright, so Thorns is cute. It's a free action that we could put on our Jotunn, but we already have one. This one does damage. And Retaliate, remember, whenever we take hits, it triggers. So if you're getting hit by multiple enemies, I mean, that's a lot of free damage. And it does play into the whole Pharaoh Seed, Pharaoh Thorn, Rocky Helmet kind of build. So you can take that if you want. We could take Glacier Shields, which shields us, and then we deal damage to the enemy based on how much shield we have. Unfortunately, that's only going to be 10, so you're doing 10 damage and mitigating 10, but it doesn't have the redirect, so good thing we have the free action that does give us the redirect. But yeah, Jotunn's not here to do damage. He's just here to soak and do some chip damage to help out. This one's pretty good. It heals an ally, shields the ally, and then puts redirect on them. But you know what? Since we got the auto attack healing thing from our Orthrus, we're going to be healing a lot. And while the 10 shield on this is nice, it means I'm not getting the 8 shields on my Roar, so I'm not really gaining too much from this. I'm just losing a lot of Aether. So I actually am going to take the Thorns, just because the other 2 options are not really needed. Okay, so what do we got here? A Lightning Assault, a Fire Wind Attack. Okay. It has an increased chance to crit with 10%, and if we crit, we get that bleed that we've been getting. They do stack, by the way. So if you use an action that says on crit it bleeds, and you have this one critical bleed, you will get more bleeds. Just in case anyone's wondering. Stone Edge, that's pretty interesting. The first hit is guaranteed crits, and since it hits 3 times, that actually means with Sleight of Hands, the first and 3rd hit is actually a critical. So that's actually a pretty big deal, and it starts off as a base of 8. So that means when that crits with this 3, that's going to go to 11, that's like 16 damage. But if you do the plus 4 and 3 here, that's 7 on the 9. That gets us to 13. So, as you can see, this one's a total of 52. While this one, with 3, is going to be a total of 33. But you're guaranteed the 1st and the 3rd. While the other one, you're only guaranteed the 3rd. So, that has a little payoffs. And then we just get a free action which applies 2 regen to an ally and generates 1 random Aether. Ooh, I think I just take that actually. Yeah, we're just gonna take this. As soon as we get somehow a decent amount of Fire Aether, I can start getting... It might pay for itself, you know, like half price. Because we're getting a random Aether and it costs us 2. So yeah, I'll take that. Ooh, we are first epic item. Base is just 20 crit chance. It comes with initial weakness 2. Weakness means the enemy deals 3 less damage, so that's decent. Comes with fire generator on basic and increases all earth damage by 1. That does affect our jewel cutter. Yep, I think I'm going to put this on my Tasselworm, because my Tasselworm really wants to crit. And I still want to keep the banner, so we're going to get rid of the shoes. No shoes. Oh, haha. The runs, the enemies have been taking a while to kill. Especially with the over-explaining, I forgot where I was at. Alright, we got the height advantage that I wanted. Now where's the enemy at? Come on. There we go. Alright, so we have Shamblers. I think they're our first battle with Shambler, actually. So Shambler is actually, like, usually a slow setup. It's trying to buff up and then do things. Same thing with Grimoire. But out of these two, Grimoire is usually the more threatening one. So you would want to take out Grimoire before you take out Shambler. But since I don't really have a good water attack that I want to do, I think I'm going to actually take out a Shambler since they're fire, and I'm going to be doing Fire Fang to break it. Alright, so Grimoire is attacking Tatzelworm. We have one Shambler doing Whirlpool on the top, and the other one's buffing. So we're just going to eat this one up. No buffs. Oh, I don't have Aether. Actually, I did say I was going to show you guys how this worked, huh? Okay, so I'm going to use up all my Aether right here. So remember that item we picked up and we didn't have a good time to show it? So notice how I have no Aether right now, right? It says it consumes all your Aether, then generates 7. Well, the game doesn't really care how much it's consuming. It could consume 0, it could consume 2, it can consume 20 of your Aether. All it cares about is the second effect after. So if you have no Aether, then this is just generate 7 random Aether. It's really nice for those situations. Really good on your turn 1s when you don't have that much Aether. So try to dump as much Aether as you can if you have deck of cards, and then use deck of cards for just more value. Nice. There's that Thorn coming into play. Yes. Alright, let's see what they're doing now. So now the Grimoire and the one that we broke are buffing, but the other one is attacking twice. Let's say no to that. I have the Aether to stop both of them. So I'm going to pop this Grimoire. Because I know the recovery action for that Shambler isn't that threatening. And I could kill this one that's trying to attack twice. So that way no damage is going out. And we're just mitigating everything here, so that's beautiful. Yeah, it just gets a bunch of Aether, but it doesn't matter that it's getting that much Aether, because guess what? It's dead, Honky is dead! Alright, I would like to generate some Aether. Nah, I mean, pretty sure it's just gonna die, so I rather my Tasselworm gets a level 2. Tasselworm and Orthrus getting to level 2 worthiness will help out a lot. That should be coming up soon, right? Yeah, it's coming up soon. 230, so probably 2 more fights. Alright, so we already talked about Healing Brew. You get a really fat Comet Rush. Oh, I don't think I covered that. I don't know if it... Oh, yeah, it did come up, but I just didn't talk about it. So, the reason Comet Rush has yellow text and these two have white, if you look at the bottom right, like under the Aether cost of Lava Surge, it says power, right? And this one says healing / Aether. That means like healing or Aether type monsters can learn this. Comet Rush is power sidekick. That means you either have to have the power or sidekick tag on your Orthrus, and then anyone in the team can have the other one, which allows him to learn it. Fortunately enough for him, he's just naturally power and sidekick, so he could just learn that. In case anyone was wondering what yellow text is. Unfortunately, I don't really want any of these. I'm trying to think. So, and the fight's coming. If I would have to use one of these, I guess this one. If I have to use one, I guess I would use Comet Rush. As much as I don't see that being realistic, that's the better one to get. Now, I know some of you were wondering, why aren't you taking the heal? Just take the heal. I mean, you're seeing the fights, right? We're not really needing the heal, especially now that I have that on attack, I heal for 6. We're getting healed every turn for 12. We really don't need it. Oh, yeah. This event, this lamp with the purple glow, this just gives you 5 HP. Okay, yeah, it's just 5 HP. Since Jotunn is the tank, he's going to be taking most of the hits for us anyway, so I want him to have as much HP as he can to accommodate for the corruption he'll be building up. Alright, so here we have our first easy choice. So this one, if you see this one like this, was that heptagon? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Hexagon, right? Hexagon? Yeah, if you see that with the X in the center, that's Aether crystals. So if you're on like a completely fresh account and you want the meta progression currency, you could go for this. But once again, I wouldn't suggest you do that. It's better you go for one of these two to increase your odds that you will win the whole run and get overall more Aether crystals than going for this. This doesn't give you any power right now. I just want to put that into preference. When you pick this up, this is giving you currency that you could use after you're done with the run. So whether you win or lose, that's when you could use this currency. When I do runs in roguelike games, I'm trying to get power every time I go through a floor. This isn't giving me power. This is giving me an artifact, which is like having some power depending on what we get. And this one can allow me to get a better accessory or upgrade one I'm already using that I like. That's power. That helps us win the run. And we're actually going to take the knight, because we're going to try to upgrade that talisman so I have a higher chance of stacking sidekicks and power on it. Let's see what RNG the game give me. Because it's not guaranteed you get the upgrade. He could ask to exchange. Oh, we got the upgrade. Lucky us. So when you upgrade, it takes it up a tier. So since we're rare epic, if we had a common, it would have went to rare. But since we're rare, we're now just gonna go to epic. And now you get to pick one of these effects that you get to add onto it. Unfortunately, we got probably some of the worst ones. Initial shield just gives you 5 shield at the start of the fight. This one gives you 1 temporary power. It's not a power. This one, when you attack, you then lose that temporary power. And this one increases healing of regeneration on allies by 5. We only have 1 action that's giving us regeneration, which is Fire Charm, and I'm not even using that right now. So yeah, these are all shit. But if I'm thinking about the fights that will go on long enough, the regeneration healing is probably the best one. This one will help me win quicker on trash fights, but this one might help me win boss fights that I may lose. And I'd rather have a higher chance of winning fights I may lose than win fights I'm already winning quicker. You know? That's my logic when I play this. Alright, so you got 2 gargoyles, 1 shambler. Like I said, shambler's usually supportive. It's just doing a regular basic attack. That's cute. So we're gonna prevent this gargoyle from doing an action because it's using AoE buff, which is shielding all its allies. And I don't want the allies to have shields, because that means they're just gonna take longer to kill. And we just want to kill them right now, you know? So we're just gonna roar here because we already have the bottom gargoyle hitting us, and the top one is hitting a random ally, but we can make that hit me. Ooh, that hit for 15. Owie. Alright. Ooh. 1 damage off. Oh, wait. I don't have meta progression. This is a fresh file. So if you ever see this punch icon, Stone Fist, if you ever see that, you mitigate that attack as much as you can, or you kill that enemy. Notice how it's shielding itself for 8, and then it's hitting us for 17 damage, and it deals more damage depending on how much shield is on it. So that's 25 damage there. And if he was supposed to get off that AoE shield the prior turn and he would have got that, that would have been close to like 30 damage. So yeah, you don't want this going out. You want this dead. It's hilarious that it has weakness on it, because weakness used to be the counter to that action. Weakness got nerfed, so it actually is scary seeing Stone Fist with weakness, unlike before. Fun little lore for anyone who likes the lore stuff. Alright, actually for here, I'm gonna take the Flash Guard, take the aggro from that attack, and I'm gonna break this gargoyle. Nice. Alright. So the enemy had redirect, so I had to hit him instead of the gargoyle. But I wanted to anyway. I just wanted to get rid of the proc. So I'm going to Fire Claw him now. 2 guaranteed crits. Or well, 1 guaranteed, and we got lucky with 1. Now the enemy gargoyle is doing shielding, which is fine here, because the Shambler is broken, and the enemy doesn't have anything to do with shields, unlike its ally gargoyle, which did. That's why I'm not like too worried about it. Now I am going to be a little concerned if it does do... Yeah, it's doing it, isn't it? Ooh, busted. Alright, we're going to have to pop the shields here. So I'm doing Petal Spell, which is water elements. And this, we'll pop this. So we don't have to see it. And I can just do a Jewel Cutter over on the Sham. Oh my god! We got really lucky. Triple crits. Alright, nice. Let's get some chip damage in. Trying to squeeze in as much worthiness we could get here. Come on, give me level 2. Oh, okay. So, we'll get it next fight. Well, maybe not Tazzleworm, but the other two will. That lets me capture, but I don't really care about capturing. Ooh. Jotunn gets 2 XP. Gives me a chance at a passive. So, normally the game has us losing shields every new round, right? This one lets us keep half of it. Unfortunately, we're still not generating that much shields for this to be that impactful. And we don't have AoE shields for our allies to linger. So, This one, we've seen this time again. I think we're actually going to take Taunts. This gives me 2 redirect at the start and shields us for 6. It could free up a turn that I can maybe basic and help kill something instead of having to use Aether to do redirect. Yeah. Before this was kind of mid, but now that redirect got buffed, I mean 2 defense at the start with 6 shield. Yeah, that's pretty nice. Keep in mind that's only the first turn of the fight. It's not a permanent thing that you always get free to redirect and 6 shields. It's just for the first fight. Alright, so we have 2 Grimoires, 1 Nosferatu. Nosferatu is still the scariest one in the pack, so we're going to try to kill it first. Ooh. Nosferatu is actually just doing a basic attack. It's the other 2 that are doing actions. Huh. Well, I guess we just stick to plan A. I'm just gonna generate Aether. I was thinking about using the deck of cards, but then I remember we have no meta progressions. I can't refill a charge, so unfortunate. So yeah, you see those circles filling around the Grimoire? They basically require the team to use Aether, and then it gets a free action, and then it could do still a regular action. That's very scary. Alright, we're going to activate this because it not only gives us a power to the whole team, but it gives me a sidekick, and then I could attack again and get another sidekick. Let's see if I get lucky here. Did get a bleed. That's good. Banner crits? Oh, the lucky banner crit! Nice. We didn't need to redirect here because remember we start off with taunts and it never got activated, so we still had redirect that whole time. Alright, right here we're trying to do the most amount of damage. Interesting, this does more. I don't want to kill it right away. The reason I don't attack with him first when I'm just doing this worthiness thing is because it'll trigger his sidekick, right? And his sidekick hits pretty hard, especially with Magnus. So, Orthrus' level 2 gives him damage plus 1. So remember how we said Aqua Pounce was hitting for 3x2? Now this is going to be hitting 3x3. I believe it doesn't reflect it here because the game still thinks we're in combat. Ooh, your allies gain 50 crit chance for each regen stack on them. So that appears with our free action I took, but yeah. It seems like good, but when you think about it, we're not really getting that much regeneration. I think I'm just going to take critical Aether. We still would like an abundance of Aether. Every 3 crits will generate us 1 wild. It gives us 20 crit chance, which is really nice. It'll scale good with our 4 hits we have going here. And Toxic Earth, it's still the same. Well, I guess it has more value now that we have Thorns. Like, all allies could theoretically trigger it, but yeah, I just rather have Wild Aether and increase crit chance on my damage dealer. Okay, now if we look at Aqua Pounce, it's still not 3x3? Okay, but just trust me, the damage plus 1, they'll activate, and we'll be doing 1 more damage, so it's actually 9 instead of 6 right there. Oh, this is an NPC, nice. If you see one of those NPCs with the star or like this particles effect going around them, don't talk to them until you finish fighting every enemy in the zone. The reason for that is because they cleanse your corruption, some of it, while recruiting them. And you want to do that when you have, corruption on everyone. Like right now, if I take it, it would only cleanse corruption on Jotunn. But what if I get corruption on Talzworm or Orthrus in this fight, and I just used it? I'm not getting the most value from it, Alright, so this fight's actually going to be one of the harder ones, because we have Mephisto, which is weak to Earth. And then we have Domovoy, which is weak to Wind. 2 elements I'm not really that fond of using with my Orthrus to stack up sidekicks. I guess I could use Petal Dance, so we'll go here. But the funny thing about Mephisto, this monster has been nerfed, I think, 3 times now. That's how scary it was to fight them, that they got nerfed 3 times. They could still be scary, but they're not anywhere close to what I remember fighting in the demo. Interesting. We have like the worst Aether generation right here. Well, this one's doing an action, but I already have Taunt going out to mitigate that. I'd rather hit this one that's lower so I could potentially break it. Nice crit. Alright. Wow. We really just didn't generate anything good, huh? I keep forgetting I cannot use the card, because then I won't have the card for the boss fight if I need it. Alright, we're just going to keep hitting this one. It's already going to break, but I'm just trying to get it low. So the healing from the Domovoid that's going to do doesn't get as much value because it's only healing 1 ally instead of me splitting the damage, and then it heals up more, And yeah, I guess at this point we're just trying to single out one of the Domovoids, one of the Mephisto, take them out, and then take out the other one. Yeah, that's what I'm trying to do here. So let's get a Fire Fang on that. We might be able to get away with this. Let's see. Oh, it dodged. Oh, that's unfortunate. Oh! Well, it didn't come out like I wanted. We're guaranteed 1 crit, so that means this will break, so yeah. Because we were going to get poison and wild, so even if I didn't get that second crit, that was guaranteed to go off. It's unfortunate that Mephisto dodged a hit, because he was supposed to die there. Which was going to give us perfect blocking for this Damavoy, so I didn't take Corruption, but... yeah, I guess it works out in the end. You'll win some, you'll lose some, you know? I'm going to kill this, give us all a power, and it gives me Sidekick, which I like. Everyone could just jump in on here. Die, die, die! Ooh! We almost got the quad crit, baby! Nice. Alright, Jotunn gets +1 defense naturally, which is amazing. That increases his revivability. Tazelworm unfortunately only gets poison +1 damage. That's not really going to come in clutch too much, but who knows? Maybe that 1 damage might. It's level 3 that I remember being amazing, but yeah, we can't get that right now. Alright, so I could still increase my healing by 1. This does affect not only my signature now, but it also affects my auto heal. But I don't really care for that. Whenever regeneration is applied to an ally, heal them for 5. And cosmic healing, for every 50 healing to your allies, generate 1 wild Aether. So this is 5. And this is 6. This activates twice if I get Sidekick. So this is once, 5. 6 twice. 6 times 2 is 12. Plus 5 is 17. So every 3 turns, I generate 1 free wild Aether. No, thank you. That's much better. This one, for every 3 wind consume, I just get a free Sidekick. That's good. For every 15 healing, which is basically every turn, right? Because if we're healing by 6, we just said we're healing twice on this, as long as we activate Sidekick. And this, we're getting 17, so this activates basically every turn, so we're getting a free Sidekick every turn. Or we could take Momentum, which will ramp up our power even quicker. So since we're doing a normal attack and praying that we always get Sidekick every turn, we're actually getting 2 attacks out every turn. So we're actually going to get power scaling quicker with Momentum. So I'm taking Momentum. We got a normal drum. The bullet point effect is nice, Aether chance, but yeah, I'm good. So if you see this red circle, let me just confirm. Yeah. If you see this red circle, this lets you re-roll all your levels. Like, you pay a certain amount, and you could re-roll, like, you could go back to 0, and it gives you all the XP to come back to this level 6. And then you get to pick again for your traits and actions. So if you just got a really chopped monster, and you're like, man, this thing sucks, but I like its signature or something, or maybe you just really like the monster, and you want to get its worthiness up, you could talk to that thing if you see it pop up in reroll to increase your odds of winning. So like I said, talking to this NPC, you could talk about the lore. It heals you by 2 corruption. Alright, so we have a boss floor. Like I said, you never want to really go here. This one's random loot, and the witch. Taunt could be better. I mean, we just took it because we had to. This is decent. We re-rolled for momentum, which is nice. Yeah. So out of these three, I would probably want to roll my taunts. So I'm gonna talk to the witch, event, trait, Jotunn, taunt. I think incorruptible is probably what I'm looking for. Incorruptible? Damn, no incorruptible. Alright, so as long as this monster has redirect, all allies gain defense +1 and shielding 1. Once again, we're not really attacking too much. I mean, I am trying to squeeze out some attacks, but yeah, this is still not that good. And yeah, I don't really care about power on Jotunn. So if there's AoE damage going out, this helps AoE mitigate some hits, like just one. But it's better than nothing. So yeah, we'll take that. I think taunting was better, but I just rolled because I know there's better stuff in Jotunn's pool that you're looking for. Remember, if you get the height advantage on a boss, definitely take it. Okay, so Starspawn's an interesting boss fight because it picks an element every turn. This one it picked fire. You could see it right here on its UI. Tides of Void. If you don't know like what to look for if it's your first run, just always check for this icon. Tides of Void and whatever element it is. If you use that element, then you're giving the enemy one free wild Aether that that it could use. You really don't want to do that because you know you're just making the fight harder. But I mean, all I have is fire. That is what my strategy is kind of focused around. Although, let me think. Yeah, even this, if I do it, it would be, yeah, so I'm just gonna roar. Use up one Aether. And since this is a boss fight, I'm going to use deck of cards. Because the charges get refreshed after this fight. Okay, there we go. That's much better. Although I guess this is the most ideal one to do, but I do want to ramp up my attacks, so we're going to Petal Spell here. Gives me a sidekick and breaks one of its poise. Oh, we still keep it. Okay, beautiful. And Jewel Cutter to break its poise. Beautiful. Wonderful mitigation. Alright, so now we can't really use Earth actions, which is fine, because then I could just Fire Fang. And I'm going to give my Tasselworm the Heroic Horn, because Tasselworm should be doing pretty nice damage here. Nice. Alright, so we're getting hit for AoE and single target. Unfortunate. But yeah, I guess we'll have redirect to mitigate 1 damage for our allies. Yeah, so they should have taken 16 there. They only took 14. W defense. Yeah, I remember Starspawn. That Icy Assault attack is scary. Because the longer the fight goes on, the more power stacks Starspawn gets. And yeah, it could just literally one-shot your tank with Icy Assault. So that's why you want to be aggressive and try to end the fight as quick as possible. It now picked Wind, but at this point of the fight, I really don't care what it's doing. I'm just trying to end the fight. So for me, I don't really care. It's at 123. We're just going to go in and try to get the kill. Nice. Triple crit. Beautiful. Alright. That is not it. It should be with the debuffs, but let's just play it safe. Nah. Yeah, you're dead. What am I talking about? Yes, sir. Alright, second boss down. And now we get 3 XP instead of 2, because we needed a champion. Free action. It does give me healing, shielding. Whirlpool's pretty nice. It also applies 2H to us, which synergizes with Cosmic Wisdom, which gives us a Wild Aether right away. We could get AoE damage that heals all allies with aging. Or, once you have 4 actions, the game actually starts giving you an option instead of taking a skill. You could just take 5 max HP. So, I think I'm just going to do that. I already have 2 free actions. And I'm mostly just roaring anyway, so... I'd rather just have some more HP for survivability. And, yeah, let's continue. Remember to talk to the pot. Reduce your corruption. Wow, I don't have the gold to buy this? Huh. Oh. Damn. Okay. How much soul do I have? I think I might take the soul. Because the third biome, there are a few events that require you to sacrifice souls to use them. And I believe that is more value than picking up this artifact here. So I'm going to do that. Alright, so we could get a random loot. Is there something I want to upgrade? Can upgrade this. I could get an artifact. The only real thing I would be looking for is probably the armor equipment. Oh wait, we're not guaranteed this. I'm guaranteed an artifact. Let's go here. I keep forgetting that. I keep thinking it's like the witch. Yeah, let's get an artifact. But if you go to get an artifact right away, I would say hold off on that, because there's a chance that she refreshes your usage and upgrades it. So if you want, you could get into a fight and use some Aether and then see what you need from there. Alright, so the third biome. Sphinx can't attack you, but it could support its allies in attacking you with Sidekick. The Jin does a lot of damage. As you can see, it's going to give its ally Force. Force is a guaranteed critical hit. So, either you kill him so he doesn't give the buff to the allies, or you kill Naga. As you can see, Naga's hitting for 28 damage, and if it has 4 stacks, it does 5 more damage for each stack, and if you have shields, it does an additional 5. So Naga is like a tank killer. So if you could kill Naga, get him out of there. And that's what I'm going to try to do. I'm going to actually try to kill the Naga. I can interrupt this, but even if I do, I'm still going to get hit really hard, so I'd rather interrupt the tank buster guy instead. Okay, so the poison stack is going to break him, so I don't have to worry about him. Cool. We have really low Aether, and like I said, when you defeat a boss, it refreshes all your charges for your artifacts. So now we could get some Aether. Nice. We got useful ones. Going to hit here to break some poise. Can break there. Hmm. Nah, I'll play it safe. I don't want my Tazworm getting hit, because, I mean, it's going straight for a 35 base health. That's a lot of damage I would be taking. Followed by the sidekick. Yeah, I mean, that was owies. Alright, unfortunately, got that attack off. So when Naga has a force buff, by the way, its signature trait comes online, and every time you attack it, it consumes one of those. Does it, right? No. It just evades your first attack and then counters back. So be very wary about Naga. Naga is pretty scary. I could interrupt, which will give me a power on all my allies, and it gives me sidekick. So I'm just going to chip away at his allies right now, and then I'll go and kill it. Actually, we could try killing it right here. I just need one extra lucky crit that wasn't calculated. Perfect. Alright, so now we don't have to worry about that nonsense. Because I had one run where I had a tank just die from, like, I think it was like 95% health. I think it was like at 82 HP, and it just died from there. I was like, what the hell? So yeah, respect Naga. It's scary. You don't want to be getting your tank, your Jotunn, one shot by him. Obviously, we wouldn't have gotten one shot at the start of the round like there, but it can happen, you know? Like, it could have happened if I just ignored him and took care of the others without addressing what he was doing. Alright. We actually navigated to that pretty decently. So as you saw, Sphinx, it does just nothing when you kill his other allies. And I get Toxic Sprawl. Applies X poison to target, one for each region stack consumed by allies in this combat. This is a great build around skill. It's just we're getting this at level 7. So, no. This one's okay. Once again, it's building around region stacks. And at this point, I'm regretting taking this skill because it's just giving me a bunch of stuff that I don't care for. Applies 2 region to all allies, then shield for 2 for each region stack on them. This is actually kind of decent. Might take that. Oh, no, it's not a free action. Never mind. No. I'm just going to take the HP. Yeah. Since I took that one region action, the game's just been giving me region constantly. That's how the game's smart program, by the way. Depending on the traits and actions you take, it will influence the actions and trait you then see later in your run. Fortunately, we're seeing too much of something I don't want. Alright, so here's like the scary monster of Biome 3. These crocodile-looking tigers, or whatever you want to call them. They're omets. Funny, we were just talking about regen. Regen normally activates at the start of your turn and heals you for a set amount. For Amit, it activates when it attacks and heals it for 10% of his max HP. Since they have 141 HP, that's 14 health they're healing and hitting you for. That's 14 damage. That's a lot. So, from my experience, the middle one is going to be hitting me, while the one in the back and the bottom is buffing up. So I have a little time right here to buy by trying to stop this one. I won't build enough, will I? No, I won't. See what I generate. Hmm. Alright, I guess I just won't have cards for the boss fight. Hmm. One crit? Damn. Trying to break the poise here. Hmm. Yeah, that's one wild. Fortunately, that's gonna go off and hit my Orthrus. Ooh, nice dodge, nice dodge. Oh, he got hit. Oh. See what I'm talking about? It does insane burst damage. Backed up with a Sphinx. But it's all good. We should be fine. I should be able to juggle them and take them out. Hmm. Still want to hit this one because it has poison stacks, so it increases my crit chance. Hmm. Yeah, I think I'm gonna break it. There we go. I can break you. Give our allies a power. Crit? Nice. Gonna Thorns, and then we're going to Roar. Right there, that's our tank taking 25 damage. Good thing though, we were able to soften it up. Cause yeah, if we had two Omits running loose, I think you might have lost here actually. If like a new player comes around and they don't know how to handle this fight or this pact, yeah, I could actually see a new player losing right here. All right. That should have been the scariest pack on the floor, so we're chilling now. Adds temporary power to target allied and shields 2 for each power stack on them. Huh. Hmm. I'm gonna take the Icy Assault just to cover all my bases, actually. If I do need a wind action and Tatzelworm can't do it, I could do it. And it hits 5 times, so that's really good on the poise break. I guess the final boss also, unlike Warden doesn't have a neutral element. It keeps changing, so if it is weak to wind that turn, that'll help us break it out quicker. Alright, so the new enemy here is Medusa. Every time you hit her, if she has a debuff on herself, she will cleanse that. And once it cleanses 5, it then just does a big AoE hit on your team. So, as you can see right now, it has 2 weakness, 1 poison, 2 terror. So that's 5. So we're going to try to stagger and then kill her and get her out of the picture because Medusa is scary. Alright, how much ether I got? I could do this. We could do this. Thorns into Roar. That way at least we're hitting back a little. Damn, you couldn't dodge some, brother? Damn, he just took 35 to the dome. Yikes. Alright, we're going to kill this. Okay. Earth, earth. Just didn't get the Aether I needed. Alright, gotta play it safe. I'm gonna use a flask as well. Our Jotunn's getting bullied. But yeah, this is a good example of what not generating your Aether looks like. Like, we're in a bad spot because of it. Alright, let's shut this down. Like, the 7 stacks or whatever on Sphinx might look a little intimidating, but remember, Sidekick only goes off when damage is dealt to you, and since this, whatchamacallit, this Amit is just stuck in being broken and then killed, she can't really do anything with these stacks, so it's not as scary as it might seem. Okay, so notes to self, don't use Petal Spell if I can help myself, so we save the earth so Tasselworm could do something. Alright, so this one's a little better. At the start of your turn, shields all allies for 2. So every start of a turn, at least we're shielding them by a little. This one's interesting because when our allies crit, we could shield them for 3. And then we could just get back taunt that I lost. I think I'll take the taunt that I lost. It helps me do basic attacks so I could generate some Aether for these trash fights so we could get about them. Or I could reroll. I think I'm fine with it. I was just trying to think, what else can I get? And, we're doing this off the dome, so I don't really remember what are other good traits for Jotunn, so... Alright, so I could get an Aether Whip, which we already went over. Now this one. Chef's Kiss. Does AoE healing and cleanses 5 corruption from all allies. As you saw, our Jotunn got a spanking. So I'm definitely taking that, not only for Jotunn, but our Orthrus also did take some corruption. Well, this one would be the ideal one to go for if you see like the rolling pin cook. That's the one you would want, but unfortunately it is tied against Aether Spring, and Aether Spring is one we want because it's a permanent buff for the rest of the run. And since this is the third biome, we finally get the 3 pieces, so yeah. So we could have all our fire damage just does 1 more damage, or every 3 turns, all of my monsters gets 1 power. 1 power. Since I already discussed that Tazzleworm wants power, it can't get it naturally outside of the heroic horn that I've been giving it. This is just really good. Orthrus does want power, and we're just going to get an extra 1, so we're helping out 2 allies. This is still good. It's helping out Fireclaw, and Firefang. I was thinking about it, and I just said the combination. Like, it does help out our 2 fire actions. It also helps out Comet Rush, so that's cute, but this, while it's only helping out fire elemental attacks, this one helps out all elements, because it's giving you the power stack, but you're just getting it a little later. But you'll see with this boss fight that it's usually around turn 3/4 when you could really put some hurt on him. So it's okay that it's being delayed until then. Now do we have enough Aether Crystals? I can convert 100 to get some more gold. So I have a higher chance of winning by being able to purchase stuff for the final round. This event right here, this takes 2 souls and cleanses your corruption, which is really good right now for our Jotunn. But I'm going to see if we could do these 2 fights on this zone, and then we'll see if we need to cleanse him or not, or if he builds up more corruption, or if there's something else on the floor that's more valuable that I'd rather have. So out of this pack, Medusa is the scariest one, as the other 2 enemies enable Medusa to be even scarier, so we're just gonna go take out Medusa. Nice, we got a crit, which means we have a bleed, so that's a guaranteed break. Alright, we already have redirect, so I'm just gonna do some basics here to get some Aether for next turn. Smog makes everyone poison, which is actually pretty cool because it synergizes with Tazzleworm's signature trait. But we're also a Tazzleworm, so we do get benefits from the enemy also being poisoned, because Smog makes every enemy poisoned. For anyone who has not seen that yet. Trying to see what I do here. Just gonna do a basic hit. Nothing crazy. Because it's just gonna die to the poison and bleed. And this gives my Jotunn Aether so I could shield them up and get Thorns in there so we could break some of those poise, because both of them are weak to water, and Torn does do water damage. Oh man, I love that attack sound effect. It's so cool. Remember, don't stress too much. I know your Jotunn's hurting. It might look scary, but everything's gonna be okay in the end. Trust. Unfortunate that he's living by 2 HP. Alright, I guess since I can't break the poise of this, I'd rather do that. And then we could break it here. Yeah, I'm such in a dominating lead, I don't technically need to be doing the sidekick stuff. I could just kill out these guys. Damage that you take from status does not give you corruption, in case anyone was wondering. So that 12 poison and stuff I'm taking, like, yeah, it's hurting, but it's not actually giving me corruption. So yeah, this is 40 damage, this is 36, but technically I guess it's more, because it's giving you a power to scale up. But yeah, if you just needed damage on that turn, there we go. I don't think we're going to be getting level 3. Maybe in the boss fight. Ooh. Wow. Toxic Assault's really nice. Especially because we have Sleight of Hands. We have 2 multi-hitting for 4. Critical Bleed. Oh, wow. Ooh. That's really nice. This one's also really nice. Critical Hybridization's an aura, so anyone that crits. Which is usually just us, but sometimes the banner does help Orthrus crit. It gives us a wild damage. Remember, wild damage, mwah, chef's kiss. Helps us break poise. And free damage is just really nice. This one synergizes pretty much perfectly with critical Aether because you need 3, so they're basically going to be triggering off of each other constantly. Gives the enemy 2 poison, then triggers the poison. The more poison the enemy has, the higher chance we have of critting, which means the higher chance we have of triggering this, and this, and this, and this. So, yeah, we're going to go with that instead then. I sold myself on it. I was like, and this, and oh, yeah. We just synergize really well. Alright, so this one is okay. It's just really slow. Every 3 power, we get 1 random Aether. Whenever we get power, we heal our allies for 3. Or, whenever we get Sidekick, we just get a random Aether. Since we're usually trying to get Sidekick every single turn, this will make Firefang and Petal Spell kind of like pseudo-cost reduction since we're getting back an Aether. So they're only technically costing 1 instead of 2. You know? Like, that's the fundamentals around it. Alright. Funny how I get another 2 rerolls. Thanks, game. Actually, I think I know what I want to do with that. Did we finish? Is that it? Yeah, I think that's it. Oh, wait. There's one more fight up here. Just checking around the floor if there's any events. Okay, so this is it. There's double Medusa and Circuit. I'd rather take out the Medusas. Since we're on the floor, we're only breaking 2 instead of 3. Unfortunate, but it is what it is. Alright, so that blue attack on this bottom one, it's going to be cleansing 3 debuffs if that goes off, which it actually might. It might be more beneficial for me to actually just Fire Claw and pop this so it doesn't go off and just take the hit that I won't get Fire Fang. Yeah, I think I do that instead. Woo! Baby, did you see that? Quad crits, my boy! And then we got the proc because of the free Aether from the triple crits. Oh my god, the synergy. And then the talisman activating twice, giving us back our Aether. Look at the synergy, boys. The synergy. Oh. Chef's kiss. It's okay that he's taking some damage here. Remember, we got the plant that'll just cleanse basically all the corruption we're taking, so that's why I'm not, like, too stressed about it. Normally, I would be, but we're just in a really good position right now that I could not care. So, I'm actually going to kill this one. Get it out of the picture. Got lucky and got 2 sidekicks again. And then we're just going to Fire Claw this one. Nice. Then I could just basic and the sidekick comes in and kills it anyway, so yeah. Really good. It took us a while to get the engine flown, but yeah. This team's doing real well now. Yeah, I'm pretty sure this is just GG. Like, what does he do? How does this win? How do you win, chaps? Oh wow, I just kill it from that? Dang, that kind of sucks. I wanted to get massive value, but if we could somehow get to Worthiness 3 on Tazzleworm, that's going to be insane. But I don't think we will. I won't spoil what it is if we don't get there, don't worry. Okay, it looks like Orthros is climbing up. That boy's almost there. Oh! Alright, so we're gonna get a level up. Alright, so let's go get our HP right here, since we're right here. Jotunn. You just want your Jotunn to have as much HP. He should be taking as many hits as possible. And then I'm gonna give up 2 souls and cleanse all my Jotunn corruption. But you look at that. Just gone. Like magic. Alright, so let's see what we got here. Protector is probably the weaker one. I mean, this is just beautiful synergy. They just all synergize so well. Good. Could be better. Good. Good. What do I want here? That's the thing. I'm not sure what I would want here. So, I mean, I'll just take it. It's a form of healing that I don't have to use items and I can still be aggressive. But I do want to get rid of Protector. Yeah, I feel like Protector's the weaker one. At least the taunt will help out on the first turn. And it stays there until we actually need to use it. And we have a bunch of rerolls, so... Oh. Okay, well, that was quick. This was what I was looking for. We needed a way to get more shielding on him. Then again, do I just take this now? No. Alright. I don't think there's ever been height advantage here. You always have to fight this boss on even footing. Alright, so this boss is like a soft enrage. The fight is going to get harder and harder the more turns that goes on. So you want to get out of here as quick as you can. So just pump that damage. Take the small hits that are going out while, you know, mitigating as best to your ability. Because, yeah. So summons in this game, every time the user does an action, the summon attacks you. As you saw right there. He got free damage. Not once, but twice. I think I'm going to do this. It's interrupting. It'll give us all power. Yeah. And it gives me sidekick. And we got lucky and got a double sidekick. I'm going to take this second power stack. And it already has 2 poison stacks, so there's a higher chance I crits. Woo! 24 twice. Would you look at that? Unfortunately, it's doing AoE, so we're just going to have to take the AoE damage here. And it applies weakness, which sucks because that lowers our damage output. Alright, we need to hit as hard as we can here. It's doing AoE again. Damn. Come on, critties. Ooh, girl! Stop it! The quad crits? Okay. We're gonna reduce some of that corruption and AoE heal. We're not gonna kill, so I may as well reduce the amount of corruption I take, and then we kill it next turn. So yeah, once turn 3 happens in this fight, it awakens its ability, and now it just starts doing a bunch of free AoE damage that'll just be going out. So just be mindful of that. So this is still all its regular actions it was doing. But since it now has 3 and more aging stacks, this is it right here. Oh no, that's the resetting. This is it right here, 100 hands. So yeah. You got the summon, you got the hand passive, and then you have 2 attacks like it normally does. So yeah, it could get pretty overwhelming, this fight. But good thing it's in kill range. We could just get out of here. Damn, it won't let me see worthiness, huh? I don't think I'm gonna get it, so I think I should just give it to Orthrus. Actually, this generates Aether, so it gives me some worthiness. But yeah, I think out of all of us who was the closest, Orthrus might hit level 3. Oh, are you kidding me? 9? 9? Oh, that sucks. Oh. I don't really want any actions, do I? Do I? Nah. This is actually a little better. I'll take this. Alright, time for the final boss. I know. We've been fighting bosses. This is like Slay the Spire kind of thing. When you're done with Act 3, there's like the brain, you know? Or the heart, sorry. So yeah, there's one more we gotta do. No one's next to a level. Okay. We just go do the fight. So unlike the other bosses, this boss has an HP gate and you can't kill it on turn 1. If you have enough damage, you could get it low and then kill it on round 2, but if you're running with Jotunn, there's a high chance you just don't have that damage. So instead, you want to focus on its arms. Notice how it has the red and blue flames? Right here, it's corrupting 2 monsters. So our Jotunn and Orthrus are now corrupted. You could read the tutorial if you want. But basically what it just did is if we use an action now, we get corruption. And then after 2 turns, it's going to consume that corruption and heal and summon clones of the monsters that it just copied. So it's in your best interests in these free turn, since you can't really kill it, to break these hands and get this nonsense out of here. Since our Aether is actually perfectly 0, I could get full value from the deck of cards. We already have that running. Unfortunately, we're gonna have another turn where someone's corrupted, but it is what it is. This is why you wanted high hitting actions, so you could try and break those hands as quick as possible. I'm just gonna break them so it doesn't get more corruption, because like I said, our damage here mostly doesn't matter. Okay, now that that's gone, I could go back to our regularly scheduled plan. And for that, I'm gonna give Tasselworm his power. Counter back some damage and just mitigate. Like, if you do enough damage, the healing it's about to do doesn't out-heal the damage you deal. Like, you know, like if you do 200 damage and it heals 100, you still did 100 to it. It's not like it fully heals. It just heals a portion. See, like 57 right there. It healed. And then 41. So yeah, it's like I said, if you did 200 and it heals 100, you still dealt 100 to it. But yeah. So this is the bad part about the clones. They copy your buffs. That's why I wasn't trying to set up any sidekicks. Unfortunately, that Jotunn has too much redirects because the boss didn't consume all of them. So I unfortunately I'm gonna have a really weak turn here. But I guess that's okay. I should still try to crit, right? Yeah, I should still try to crit. And save that sidekick damage for the main boss. Yep. Okay, so it's doing AoE damage. I have nothing for that, so we'll just probably heal up the next coming turns. So let me just do this now. So yeah, if you have Terror stacks, it just does free damage to you at the start. I don't think we actually went over Terror debuff. Terror, depending on how much stacks you have, it increases the damage of the first hit the enemy does. So if you have, say, let's say 10 Terror stacks and the enemy was supposed to hit you for 5 damage, they're actually dealing 15 damage. And it counts as wild damage. Not that that matters for the user, but yeah. Damn. Water's a hard one to come by. Actually, it's not. It's because he stole my water attack I had to break him. Bastard. Just reducing the amount of corruption I have, so when it unfortunately spawns clones again, they're not that healthy. Oh, nice! Quad. This is getting scary. Ooh. We gotta win quick. Stupid hand. Let's get some of this terror down. I want to hit this because it has 4 stacks of poison. We missed one crit, but that's okay. Damn, bro. This is rough. Without meta progression, says Jotunn. Let's see. Kill that thing, kill it. Thank you. Come on, big man, you got enough damage. You could kill that, right? Okay. Either I hold down the left too long, or what? That really sucks. I was supposed to kill that with my Tassel Worm. Now I have to waste me doing this. Alright, let's just get a regen, I guess, because we'll definitely need it. Alright, no hands. Oh my god, it gets... Alright, I think I just have to ignore this hand shit, bro. Just go for the kill. I don't think we're surviving this. And again, it took my best action. God damn it. Come on, quad crits, quad crits. Almost. I'll just keep cleansing away these terrors as much as I can. I'm not gonna roar, because if it copies my Jotunn, then I'm gonna have to deal with a bunch of redirects. Oh, sweet Jesus. Alright, those thorns are coming in. We're getting those passive damage. Alright, just go to Jotunn. Go to Jotunn, please. Okay, don't steal my good action. I think we just have to ignore it, bro. Yeah, I think I'm just gonna ignore it. We could just kill. Okay, guys. That was a run. Hopefully you saw how to utilize Jotunn on a fresh file without any mid-progression. Hopefully my choices and decisions helped you see what I picked to make it maybe a little easier in your attempt. If you have any questions, of course, please comment down below. I'll love to answer them if I just glossed over something. And yeah, if you enjoyed this video and you maybe want to try out Cherufe next, I have the run where I did it just like this right here. And if you want to see the other beginners, I'm going to be doing them in the next coming days, so consider subscribing for those. Until the next video, I'll see ya!